Morning all. Right, it's Wednesday morning, mid-October, and I'm away to Wisley, RHS Wisley. So dressed up to the nines, because, you know, going to the mothership. It's like going to Peter Jones, going to Wisley. It's the Royal Horticultural Society's main garden just outside London. And this is where the dahlia trials are happening. And I'm on the dahlia trials judging committee. I know. Very, very, very exciting. Anyway, so 7 o'clock in the morning, time to jump in the car, and I'm trying to get there a little bit early because our meeting is at 10:30, but I'm hoping to do a little clip for you all about what Wisley's like and how it works and what we can find there before the meeting starts so that I can then get back. Get on. Okay, on we go. And if you're new to the channel, please do subscribe, press the bell icon, and we'll tell you when we've got more clips coming up. And if any of the tips and tricks I give you along the way are useful, you can always buy me a coffee, or better still, join my club. The links to coffee buying and club membership are in the blurb to all my clips. Right, on we go. Right, back at Wisley. It's taken 2.5 hours to get here. As usual, it's further than you think. What with car crashes and traffic and roadworks. Anyway, these are the trials beds being tucked away for winter. You can see how tidy they are. I love this setup. And my new flower farm setup with narrower beds is very much inspired by the trials beds here. I think I love the way it looks. And there, colour pops, are the dahlias. And I turn right back down these absolutely magnificent long borders. The fiddle goes into maintaining massive herbaceous borders like this. It doesn't even bear thinking about. I'm never going to have a border like this. I'm always going to have something narrower, small chunks, but nevertheless individual varieties at a time, so that it's easier to manage. Anyway, we're going past these wonderful long borders and then turning right into the trials beds. So I'm not going to have a very tall ginkgo at the entrance to my plot, but it is fantastic. So I'm always talking about the soil at Wisley, and here you can see it. It is very sandy. They top dress with, this is called strulch, which is sort of rotted down, not quite rotted down straw. It's a good idea, but I'm not sure how feeding it is. Given the choice, I would rather have my thick clay any day of the week. You think, really? Thick clay is really hard work. I think, you know, you get used to whatever you've got, and I've learned that with a massive amount of mulching, I can, out of my thick clay, create really spectacular beds. Right, here are the dahlias. And the trials beds take up 2.5 stretches of these long, quite wide beds. They wouldn't be good for a flower farm, they're too wide, but you can see how my beds are 1 metre wide. So if they were half the width, or perhaps a third of the width, you know, then they would suit me very nicely. But I like the wide grass paths between, perhaps too generous for a flower farm, but very attractive. I tell you what I really like about this time of year. So it's October, mid-October, and we've got possibly a frost forecast at Common Farm this weekend. But what you get with dahlias is, as the light dips, the intensity of the colour increases, and you see stripes and depth of field that you wouldn't see earlier in the season. This is Labyrinth two-tone So for those of you who love Labyrinthe, here's a two-tone version. I have to say I love it. I can see myself using that. So it might go on my list. I'll show you a few more that I really like. Oh, look. So I feel a very hot pink summer coming on next year. But the nice thing about this is the bit of lemon in the middle stops the pink being too flat. And this one, I can hardly see the name. It's Dahlia Great Silence. How's that for a beauty? This one also very hot pink, Feline Yvonne. It's very like American Dawn, but I think it's a bit yellower, and I quite like that. I love a bit of yellow in the mix just to stop it being too flat in colour. Sometimes American Dawn doesn't work for me in an arrangement, although it's almost my favourite in the field, because it's a bit flat in colour. For a Barbie pink pom-pom, this one's called Eye Candy, and Eye Candy it is. Pom-poms last really well in the vase, so if you're thinking about growing for market sales, farmers markets, this would be a good idea. Moody Molly Raven. Again, it's picking up a bit more, it's glowing a bit stronger. Now it's the end of the season. Earlier on it looked a bit flat, but now I think this is really fantastic. They do look all amazing laid out together. I love it. Right, let's have a look at a few more that I really like. The collarettes are all heaving with bees, taking up the last of the pollen before this weekend we have a frost forecast. Oh yes we do. So this one is called Lou Farman, and it's a collarette, so it's not, they tend to drop their petals more quickly, but the bees love them, as you can see. And look at this amazing bi-coloured centre, and it's a good colour when it first comes out, and then it fades really, really well, I think. So that's on my list. This is rhubarb and custard. Look at that colour. This will be anything you want it to be. This will be pink, blush, lemony, food for the bees. It's a win-win-win one. And this one is Sarah Raven. I like it because of the beautiful buds, nice strong buds. And then as it opens, oh yes. I mean, it's perfectly ridiculous. I'm not normally a fan of red, but because of the green eye on this, I think it's absolutely fantastic. This is called Dahlia All Directions. Look at that. I think it's a very good red. I think it'll be pink if you want it to be, or red if you want it to be. It'll lift all sorts of schemes. If you like faded drama, this one is called Bacardi, and it's enormous. It's much bigger than you might think. Look, hand for scale going in. I think it's my filming is terrible, but yeah, no, I'd say that was a good one. I might not have it myself, but it is, if you like that sort of thing, it's very good. This, on the other hand, Belle Fleur. Look at my hat, look at the size of it, my hand. That is going to be really, really, really useful. Pretty in bud coming out, pretty in full flower, just definitely. Also really nice colour foliage, great colour. Lovely shed in the background. Sadly the shed doesn't come with the plant. This is definitely on my list. Eye Candy. A really good pom-pom, really useful. I suspect that next year is going to be very pink, blame Barbie, whatever you like, but I think this is going to be a good one. Look at the little bit of a green eye. Stops it being too flat, the colour, I think. Very keen on this one. If you want an excellent joke, this one's called Pacific Time. Quite small, very flowery. Look, enormously floriferous. I mean, this is certainly earning its place. I might not have it for cutting for sale, but it'd be fun in a pot by the back door. It would make me smile every time I went past it. And for really, really excellent white pom-pom, this is Rycroft porcelain. It's got a good size and it's properly creamy white. I think it's really useful, this one. And one more for luck. This is quite a short variety. It's about hip height and it's called Copper Boy. It's lovely, don't you think? So there are the dahlias, and aren't they lovely? I think they're very beautiful. Well, I mean, really, this is my job, aren't I lucky? I get to do this for fun, very occasionally. We're not meeting again, our Dahlia committee, until next July. So I was just wished Merry Christmas, which made me laugh. It's the first Merry Christmas I've had this year, and we're mid-October. Anyway, there we go. They've got some glorious delphinium trials going on here. It's always fun to come to Wisley. There's always so much to see. Look at this blue. Aerial blue. I don't grow masses of delphiniums. I love to look at them, but I don't grow them. I grow foxgloves in quantity, which flower sort of at the same time and do the same job. Although, of course, they're not flowering at the end of the summer. They're not giving me this magical second flush. So there are the trials beds done for the season. I can feel the prevailing wind here comes from the bank of trees up there, which is why the dahlias are very well staked. And really, this fancy shed, I'm thinking big urns outside my new studio. Look at that. With a gorgeous layout of pots. Do you think outside the new studio? What do you think? And I do love these stands of annual climbers. I probably won't do this because they're not especially brilliant as cut. But oh, isn't that pretty, the coreopsis? And the dahlias in the distance. This is why I really love blocks of single varieties. I love a flower farm because I like what they look like. Also on trial here, these lovely wildflower mixes, which have finished now, but must have been stunning all summer. Cheerful Cosmos trial there. Not very tall, she says. Mine's taller. But still flowering, whereas mine were ripped out yesterday, but I have cut them and cut them and cut them. Somebody must have deadheaded those hard to keep them going for so long. Nice little Kubota. And more very sandy soil. Tough to work, very tough to work with. And now we're back out into the borders where the staking is charming. Very beautiful alstroemeria tesseronto, but also very beautiful staking. Look at that, that's just twisted hazel. Very attractive. And that gorgeous monarda behind it. Ooh, yes. Is it a monarda? I'll have to look. And then off the main drag, on the other side from the trials beds, are lots of smaller gardens, including this lovely tropical looking one. Look at the bananas. I mean, they're quite big, but you see how you could take small amounts of them and put them in a town garden. The work here is, the planting is immaculate. There is not a weed to be seen. It is very, very 5-star, and the labels everywhere, so you can always tell what you're looking at. I love the way the nasturtium has self-seeded itself into this fern. And they've got morning glory climbing up the tree. I always love a bit of coleus, and when I remember to put it in the pots outside my back door, it really sings for its supper. And we're right up at the top of the site now, in a newly gardened area called Hilltop, and it's laid out, amongst other things, like a cafe, but it's also laid out as though it were allotments with lots of food growing and things to eat. I think the idea is to inspire people to think more about what they can grow to eat as herbs, as well as decorative plants. All sorts of good ideas here. Look at the tomatoes being held up by string. Look, they've been planting out hot winter lettuces. And how's that for a very, very stylish greenhouse? I'd have one of those. Oh yes, I would. That's very attractive. I'm a sucker for a small, elegant building. I always think Wisley's kind of like a mixture between a great big enormous park, a very beautiful show garden, and with the new Hilltop Centre, a place for scientific research. It covers all bases extremely efficiently. And every corner you turn, there's something to look at, something to examine, something to consider for your own gardens. And every view has a gardener in it. This place is immaculate. Anyway, if you are passing this way, RHS Wisley is well worth a visit. All year round, I think. Although not this weekend, apparently it's closed because the road, you can hear all this noise all the time. Huge amount of roadworks going on where the Wisley Road joins onto the M25. Oh yes, infrastructure. Who needs a railway when you can have another road in this country? Anyway, I mustn't get political. Right, thanks very much for coming along, and I hope you've enjoyed the clip, and I'll see you very soon. Bye. So 13 hours later, and I'm home. 13 hours since I left. I'm home, and I've pinged straight down to look at the dahlias because it is not dark, and I was going to harvest tonight what I need for some floristry commissions tomorrow, but it's raining, so I'm going to harvest those tomorrow. That's better. I had me on cinema. I don't think I'm that cinematic. Two things, and one or two things that occurred to me on my journey home. One, I think it's important to acknowledge that the dahlias that I like in the trials are the ones that I like, not necessarily the ones that are going to be given awards of garden merit. they are judged on so many different criteria by quite a large committee. I think there are 8 or 9 of us at any one meeting, and we're gardeners, we're people who supply dahlia tubers, we're people who design gardens with dahlias. I'm a flower farmer, so it's really great because there are lots of different points of view included in the people who choose the dahlias which are awarded an AGM. The ones that I like particularly tickle my fancy as a flower farmer, but also as a person who loves a garden where the bees, and there's a lot of forage for invertebrates. So those are the ones that I have picked out of this trial, which I like the look of for my purposes. So I think that's really, really worth acknowledging. And the other thing to say is the dahlias at Wisley in the trials are left in the ground for one winter, and then they are given another season because they will fatten up a bit. They'll have nice big tubers. A lot of people leave their dahlias in the ground over winter, so it's good to give them a 2-year cycle for the trial, because then we see how they behave in the sort of way that the general public might use them, if you see what I mean. Mine, on the other hand, are going to be nailed tomorrow. I'm going to harvest every single last one quickly in the morning because I know my season is finished, but nevertheless I always have the odd thing commissioned to achieve. And then I'm going to lift mine. And I lift mine every year because I like propagating. It's fun. And I have pretty much no virus here. So, and I like to keep it that way. So my 200 odd, I don't even know how many I planted. Yeah, about 200 will be lifted tomorrow and Friday. So I'll get up early, harvest what I need for my floral commissions, and then I'm going to dig them up. The forecast was rain all day tomorrow, but it is now dry all day tomorrow and then rain tomorrow evening. But for everybody, there is, in the UK anyway, there are low single finger temperatures forecast for the weekend, which very likely means frost, which means very likely means the end of your dahlias. So if you're thinking about digging them up, now is the time to make sure that you have chosen which ones you're going to dig up and keep.